Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Hello listeners and welcome back to Stomp This Way. We're going back to Ray Harryhausen this week with It Came From Beneath the Sea.
Did it?
Well, it came from,
somewhere.
under the sea. In the sea.
Under the sea. Under the sea.
Let's stop. Please God. Please God save us.
You don't like Disney's Little Mermaid?
No, I don't like Disney movies. I've told you this.
It's because Aaron's a soulless bastard.
It's because I have a soul. Do you see what Disney has become? Oh, you know what? Politics-free podcast.
Just go ahead and edit that part out.
Let's just jump into this movie. Y'all ready?
Sure.
All right. Making of. Inspired by the first explosion of the hydrogen bomb in the Marshall Islands, as all movies of this time period were.
Yeah.
The title is derived from the film It Came From Outer Space. Sure. Producer Charles Schneer hired Harryhausen after being impressed by the effects in The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which we have reviewed.
Long time ago.
Long time. Not that long ago.
Almost 2 years.
What? Oh, yeah. I got my movies. I was thinking 20 million miles from Earth. Or to Earth, whatever. They all run together.
We reviewed that film before we reviewed the original 1954 Godzilla. So it was the second film we reviewed.
Damn.
So probably like the 1, 2, 3, like the fourth episode.
It's a long time ago, boys.
Yeah.
Most of the filming occurred at the San Francisco Naval Shipyard. Or I say a lot of the filming did. The interior shots of the submarine are filmed inside an actual submarine using handheld cameras.
They had small handheld cameras at the time, or
well,
they were just carrying these big
I don't think
old
they're
hunking
small.
things around?
Probably the things like they have on their shoulder. For the beach scenes, the crew dumped several truckloads of sand onto a soundstage at Columbia. Harryhausen was only given enough money to animate 6 legs, so they built that little octopus prop to only have 6 legs. But they did their best to hide the fact that it only had 6 legs.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Schneer was... I keep saying Schneer. Schneer was denied permission to shoot on the Golden Gate Bridge, so he stuck a camera to the back of a bakery truck and drove it back and forth across the bridge to get his footage. Gotta get creative.
Nice.
Released on a double bill with Creature with the Atom Brain.
What is that?
I don't know. I didn't even look. Harryhausen and Schneer would go on to collaborate on many projects, including Clash of the Titans, which is way later on in our schedule.
Way later.
Way later.
They were old at that point.
Yeah, that was a long...
That was in the
81,
early
I think.
80s, yeah. They were old.
But that's a famous movie. Some box office. Released in July of 1955. No specific date given. Budget of around $150,000. Box office of about $1.7 million.
Is that a combined budget and a combined box office?
Probably. But they made their money back multiple times over, so there you go.
God, could you imagine making a movie under $150K?
That's...
Divide that booger in half. $75,000 probably for your movie.
That's not very much money at all.
That is not.
But we're going to listen to the trailer. We're going to come back. We're going to read off the cast and crew. Read off a plot summary. And then we'll
talk about it.
Well, yeah, for sure. So, see you in a bit.
A tidal wave of terror engulfs the screen. as a raging monster from the dawn of creation attacks the world of man.
Here, gentlemen, is your villain. It would take an enormous number of those to disable a Navy submarine.
Or just one of enormous size, Mr. Chase.
I see they picked an Atom sub to go out and fight this thing. Why is that, Commander?
Could be because of the new electronic equipment, or her speed.
Was she ordered back here from Hawaii just for that?
That's right. Think it's as bad as that, do you? I think we're lucky she's here.
The H-bomb blasted it loose from the depths of the Pacific. But not even the H-bomb can kill it.
Unknown object coming this way. Entering minefield. Stand by, number 38, mine.
Fire!
Go up. Ready, number 12, south.
Fire!
Coming on through.
That's the end of our first line of defense, Miss Joyce.
Then the red alert.
West Coast reels under Holocaust as the men and weapons of the atomic age battle to the death against the ageless monster of the deep.
All right, we're back. This film is directed by Robert Gordon, written by Hal Smith and George Worthing Yates. Effects by Ray Harryhausen. Music by uncredited, because I think they've used this music for a lot of these old B movies. Mischa Bakaleinikoff.
It was credited, or she.
Oh,
or
was they credited? They were credited on.
It said music conducted by.
On the version that we watched, it was.
Maybe not written, but I'm not sure, honestly. But it said music conducted by that person.
They were credited, so whoever was on IMDb is just lied to me. Sorry. Kenneth Tobey, Faith Domergue, something like that.
Sure.
Donald Curtis, Ian Keith, Dean Maddox Jr., Chuck Griffiths, Harry Lauder, and Richard W. Peterson.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the plot? It is as follows.
Sure. After a submarine is attacked by an unknown creature, Commander Pete Matthews teams up with Professors Leslie Joyce and John Carter of Mars?
No, not of Mars.
To uncover the identity of his assailant. The scientists determine the culprit to be a giant octopus, and it isn't long before the cephalopod strikes again, striking an unsuspecting freighter. Now convinced of its existence, the Navy takes steps to protect San Francisco Bay, but the monster tears through their barriers and attacks the Golden Gate Bridge. Eventually, Commander Matthews takes his sub down and plants a torpedo into the skin of the creature. The explosive is remotely detonated and the giant octopus is killed. In the final scene, Pete, Leslie, and John celebrate their victory with a nice dinner as credits roll.
Oh, how sweet. So, this is another classic 50s B movie, monster movie.
Is classic the word? I mean, it is definitely one of those 50s monster movies.
I think this one's one of the ones that's kind of got
Is it pretty famous?
A cult following. That one scene where he attacks the Golden Gate Bridge, I think is pretty famous. In the 98 Godzilla movie, you can see it in the background of the scene where the two guys are robbing the electronics store before Godzilla comes running past. You can see this scene where the tentacle comes down and, crushes the cop car, or the John Carter's car, I guess. So I think it's a somewhat relatively famous movie, mostly probably because of its title. It came from beneath the sea. And you know what? When it gets started, we were talking about a slow budget, but because of them filming an actual submarine and things like that, I think it has sort of an authentic quality to it that a lot of these B movies lack, that I like.
It doesn't look like it's just a set.
Yeah. I mean,
although the people on the submarine are hilarious.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're over here looking at this. I guess it's a sonar image or something.
Yeah.
And there's these little levers on the front of it, and they're just literally moving them back and forth. I don't know what that's supposed to do, but they're literally just going. Whoop, whoop,
They were just directed. Just
Like, hey, if you could take that thing and just move it left to right, that'd be great.
Yeah. There's a lot of that where like the first mate is like just reaching above his head and just like pulling levers and hitting random buttons. But we open up, they're on the sub, and then they start getting chased by something, and they get grabbed by it, I think temporarily, but they end up getting away. But their Geiger counter is picking up radiation, not from their core. What could it mean? So once they get away, they call in Leslie Joyce, Professor Leslie Joyce, and Dr. John Carter. And in the 50s, she is the leading expert on marine biology. Progressive.
Fancy.
And this Commander Pete Matthews is all up in her business.
He sure is.
I mean, all up in her business.
Pretty sure it's considered sexual harassment.
Today, it would be considered sexual harassment. He corners her at one point.
And, like, gets all up in her.
Gets all, like, leans in. He's like, my name is Pete.
And you're like,
I'm uncomfortable.
He's not judging me.
But she handles it like a boss. Kind of just pushes him away.
She's like, girls gotta have secrets, right?
Yeah. She doesn't have very many secrets, I don't feel like.
By the end of this movie, he knows all of her secrets.
Yeah, he does. And for the leading expert in her field, I feel like she says, I don't know a lot in this movie. But, it is what it is. I mean, I'll just say it. It's a pretty generic human plot. You have like these three main characters. One's the naval captain and the other two are scientists. There's a love triangle. And they just spend a lot of time like trying to figure out what's going on. There's a lot of scenes with like military boardrooms discussing what to do. Yada, yada, yada. I think there are before like the final 15-minute showdown, there's like 2 scenes with the octopus when he attacks this boat, and then when he like comes up on the beach and tries to get him at one point.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of this movie's only 80 minutes long, so not too long. But there's a lot of
people just talking
and things happening.
Like, what do we gotta do? Oh, well, there's things going on here and here and here. So maybe that could be it, but we're not sure. So maybe we should go investigate, but no, we can't.
Yeah.
But maybe we should.
Maybe we should.
But no, we can't.
Some scenes that stood out. So, him cornering her and being all up in her business. There's a scene where, like, after the freighter gets sunk, where they're interviewing the survivors, and, the doctor's, like, basically...
He's like, you drunk?
Shaming him. Shaming the guy for telling his story. He's like... The doctor's got a telescope, and he's like, giant things kind of look like that, and pointing at his stethoscope, and I'm like, that's not really
giant octopus tentacles don't look like that.
Not really.
But anyway, so he recounts his story because, takes back his story because, people are like, I guess threatening to send him off to an insane asylum or something.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
But to get him to tell the truth, she Dr. Joyce, or Professor Joyce, I don't know if she's a doctor, she takes off her blouse or whatever, and hikes, she goes and she sprays some perfume on herself, and she's, I guess, basically going to use her womanly charm to convince him to tell the truth. So she's sits up on the desk and pulls the chair real close and kind of hikes up her skirt a little bit, smokes a cigarette with him, and basically seduces him into telling the truth. But he's like, you won't tell anybody that I'm telling you this, right? And she's like, no. And then she turns on the little intercom behind her.
Sneaky hussy.
I know, right? That's sexist, but yeah,
But you can't call people whores. That's rude. You can't call her a slut because that's not accurate. So, at the time,
you're saying it's not accurate. I'm pretty sure she's playing with these men's emotions. She'll get up and cozy.
That's why she's a hussy. That is the proper term for this time. You would be referred to as a hussy.
Yeah.
There's a scene on the beach where they're her and Commander Matthews are getting all hot and bothered and really, really close. But then Dr. Carter comes in
folks,
totally. I mean, excuse my language. Blocks him.
I mean,
yeah.
Rooster blocks
him. And yeah, so there's that. I guess she kind of chooses the commander at the end because she kisses him and
says she wants to collaborate
on a book.
It's not the only thing to collaborate on.
No, it's not. But yeah, so basically the octopus attacks the freighter, so the Navy believes him, so the Navy sets up some kind of like electrified net, or something, and
it doesn't work.
I love the scene where like it comes up on the beach and like so they hop in their little jeep and they
just ram through this barrier.
There's this barrier like he could easily like they drove around it to get on the beach, but then he just rams through it to get off.
They're in a hurry.
Whatever. But yeah, so it just like tears down the barrier. And then it attacks the Golden Gate Bridge, and like I said, probably the most famous scene from this movie. And
smushes the car.
Smushes the car. Basically, tears down the bridge.
For a good section of it.
And then it attacks the city, like it comes up and uses its long-reaching tentacles to get at people.
Grab people or crush things.
Destroy things, and... Then
the cops show up with some flamethrowers
and push it back.
Push it into the water.
They've devised some plan that they're going to shoot a torpedo into it and then remotely detonate it.
Yeah.
And so they get in their submarine and shoot it into him.
Well, then it attacks him.
And then it grabs hold of him. So
then the doctor, or not the doctor.
Well, the commander goes out.
He's like, gotta go out here, and he like pokes it with a harpoon?
Yeah, but he gets knocked out. So then the doctor goes out and he like shoots its eye out.
And then it's angry.
And so then it lets go.
Lets go, and the submarine goes away, and then the doctor saves the commander, and then they blow up the octopus.
And then everyone just kind of lives happily.
And then later, I guess we're supposed to assume this is sometime later.
Yeah.
I don't know how much later. They're sitting there, they're having their little dinner, and there's a news story playing in the background about the three unlikely heroes, and they're like, "Oh, it's us." They're about to toast to it, but then it's not them. So they're like, "Oh, okay, never mind." and then they joke about some stuff, and then
she's gonna go off to Cairo with Dr. Carter to do research.
And he's like, "What are you gonna do while I'm gone? Maybe settle down, start a family." She's like, "Well, one or A, something or the other."
I don't have time for that.
B, something or the other.
B.
What did she say?
I don't know what she said.
And then C, something about, "I want you to collaborate on a book with me."
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's not the only thing they're collaborating on.
And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So there you have it, folks.
And the last line of the movie is literally like, "See, doctor, I told you it was a different breed of woman," or something like that.
No, he's like, "Doctor, you were right about this different breed of woman," or
yeah.
It's like the last line.
The end.
The end. What a great movie.
What a movie.
What a film.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, very, I hate to use this word, but generic.
It's very much of its time.
Yeah.
No,
it's pretty standard as far as these 50s B monster movies.
The characters are not deep.
They're not. It's pretty standard for what you'd expect of that time. There's usually some sort of probably military official or something that has something to do with the central plot. Mm-hmm. Some sort of scientists that are trying to figure out what happened. Mm-hmm. And then they work together They collaborate. Mm-hmm. They work together to try to figure out what's going on, and they stop the monster. And
I mean, the acting is fine. There's a couple of scenes that I find entertaining with these characters, but it's kind of boring when the monster's not on screen, which is most of the movie.
Yeah.
The last 15 minutes when the octopus shows up and, for like attacks San Francisco.
It's fun.
It's all right.
It's fun enough.
Yeah.
You ready for some creature design?
It's just, pretty standard,
Pretty standard stuff. If you've seen them and The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and the 20 Million Miles to Earth.
You've seen them all.
You've seen them
all. You've pretty much seen it.
Except this time it's a giant octopus.
Yeah. You ready for creature design?
Sure. Looks like a giant octopus.
Looks like a giant octopus. Only has 6 legs. But I think they do a pretty good job of,
hiding the fact.
They do a really good job of hiding it. I mean, I don't think that there was a very specific moment in time like, it's only got 6 legs.
Yeah.
I never thought that.
They did a good job of that. But yeah, it looks like a giant octopus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Literally. And giant octopus.
Rolling into some effects. I do think the stop motion on it's really good.
I mean, it's Harryhausen.
Yeah. I think that the matting effects with the tentacles in the city at the end look really good for the most part. And there's like a giant puppet tentacle they use, like when they only have like the one giant tentacle sometimes in it. I mean, it looks good.
It looks
the stop motion's really good. And the matting's not bad. I will say there are a few matting shots that aren't great. Where some people matted in front of the octopus tentacle.
Yeah.
Like when it's kind of attacking at certain points. It looks a little rough. Right. And then there are some shots where they're clearly standing in front of a projection screen.
Oh yeah, there's a scene where they're in a restaurant and It just looks like they have a screen hung up on the wall with
You can like see like
projected
creases and stuff
behind
in it if you look really closely.
And then the scene where the doctor goes out to save the commander, like he swims up to the octopus and he's very transparent when he's shooting it in the eye. Yeah. But overall, I think
effects
hold up pretty well.
You can't always be perfect.
No, you can't. Especially when you have like $150K budget or whatever.
Probably split
between two films. Yeah,
and it's 1955.
So
you know, this movie's very of its time.
Yeah.
And the score is very much the same.
I think, like you mentioned, basically the same score we've heard for them and The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And
anytime like the giant monster shows up or something like that and starts to like, lots of horns. Lots of loud noises. Lots of doom, 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 doom.
It works. So it complements the movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Very of its time.
Yeah.
But you want to go ahead and roll into final thoughts?
Sure.
Andrew, would you like to start?
Well. You see, this movie... What? What?
You said, well, you see. I said, do I?
I, in fact, don't see.
I don't see it all. You see, this movie... It's a generic monster movie for it.
Yeah.
And it's alright for what the budget gives it. The effects are pretty good.
Yeah.
You sound like you don't agree. But you know, the stop motion is pretty good, and the acting is
serviceable.
It's serviceable. It doesn't go into much depth. But you know, that's a lot of B movies. They don't go much depth. But I think I'm gonna give this movie a C.
A C. Dylan, what do you think?
Yeah.
This
movie it's alright. It's alright. Like I've been saying, this is very of its time. It's very standard, very, I hate to use the word generic, but generic. It pretty much follows the same basic structure of all these giant monster B movies from the 50s and 60s and whatnot, you know. There's some sort of attack by some unknown creature, and then some scientists got to figure out what it is. They figure out what it is, and they try to stop it, and then eventually they ended up defeating it. And, you know, there it is. And there's always some sort of, you know, cheesy romance subplot going on. And, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
This one's, it's all right, I guess. I mean, it's fun when the squid or octopus or whatever is attacking. I think the octopus looks pretty good with the stop motion. They've done Ray Harryhausen is a master at his craft when it comes to stop motion, so they've done a really good job with that. The matting's all right. There's a couple rough like projection shots and stuff like that that are, you're like, oh, okay, he's standing in front of a projector screen.
Yeah.
But and the score is pretty standard generic. But I mean, overall, it's not horrible. It's a serviceable movie. I think the thing that I like about these is that it's kind of fun to just see how much of it, how different it was back then. You know, the style of acting and the style of filmmaking compared to nowadays. It's kind of fun to look at it that way. I'll give it a C as well. It's not horrible.
All right. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Like we've said, if you've seen them and Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, you know what the kind of movie this is and about how it plays out. The characters aren't deep, but they have some entertaining moments. Maybe just because we find it entertaining because of some of the 50s era stuff that they do that is kind of out of place now. I think, like we've said, Ray Harryhausen does a good job with the effects of this movie. When the octopus is on screen, the movie's pretty fun. Unfortunately, there's a lot of this movie that the octopus is not on screen, which isn't so fun. But you know, it kind of is. It kind of just is what it is. But you know what? Just like those other movies that I've mentioned, I enjoy watching it. Just I love classic 50s B movie monster movies, and I enjoy this one in the same way that I enjoyed those. So I think we're gonna give it C's across the board on this one. So
you know,
it is what it is.
It's there.
If you want to see it, it's a pretty cheap Blu-ray, a double feature with 20 million miles to Earth. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Some quick news items. So that we're a little late on this one because the trailer dropped as soon as we recorded, like the day after we recorded our our last podcast, but we all have seen the full Pacific Rim the Black trailer now. Does it intrigue you at all, Dylan?
Looks interesting.
I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I really dislike the animation style of this.
Yeah,
I
the
think it
animation
looks like garbage.
I'm garbage.
I
really
won't say
harsh.
garbage. I mean,
No.
I hate the fact I'm not a big anime person.
No, for starters.
For starters.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do an anime, I've said this multiple times talking about this. Just do standard 2D hand-drawn animation. I don't know why they have to go with this weird CGI thing, but still trying to make it look like it's a Japanese hand-drawn animated style characters and stuff like that. I'm like, pick one.
I agree.
Don't do both.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. It looks like it could be intriguing. They've got some interesting ideas, I think, that they've kind of put forth in the trailer. Like the little boy that like is kind of animal-like, I guess, or whatever, and the smaller monsters they have to fight, and I don't know. We'll see.
They find a Jaeger and pilot it.
Pilot. I mean, that's why it is Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find out. Speaking of animes, Godzilla's design from Singular Point has been revealed in full.
Yeah.
Looks pretty cool.
Looks pretty cool.
Looks like they did take at least a little bit of inspiration from Godzilla Earth. I think the dorsal fins look kind of like silver leaves or something. I don't know.
To me, he kind of reminds me of like the later Heisei era Godzilla a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, he's Godzilla.
Looks like Godzilla, just in the hand-drawn animated.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it in action.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works out. Scream Factory, a subdivision of Shout Factory.
Scream Factory is doing that? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
That's what I said. Is releasing the 1976 King Kong film on Blu-ray, scheduled to be out on May 11th, which is the week before we're scheduled to review that film.
So, hopefully we'll get it in time. Because I assume you've probably pre-ordered it.
I have not I was waiting to see if they'll put it on Amazon so that I can pre-order it through Amazon, which they haven't yet, but if not, I'll just pre-order it from them.
I have found out that if you pre-order stuff directly from Scream Factory or Shout Factory, a lot of times you'll get it up to 2 weeks early. Because there are people like you know the Friday the 13th box set that we have. If you pre-ordered it directly through Scream Factory's website, a lot of those people were getting it like a week or two early.
Maybe I'll just pre-order it from them then. Maybe I will. But no, I'm glad to see because, you know, it's...
Does that classify as a horror movie, though? Because Scream Factory usually does horror, so... Is King Kong a horror movie?
Stretching maybe a little bit, but I want to see a good transfer of the film because, you know, I don't think they've re-released the DVD since they released that first DVD like way back in...
Will you now own all the King Kong films on at least a Blu-ray?
Except for King Kong Lives, which they have... That DVD is long out of print, so I had to hunt that one down on eBay, which maybe Scream Factory or Shout Factory will... do that one next because it is definitely due for a re-release. That movie is amazing for all the wrong reasons. And then just one little extra note: the Godzilla vs. Kong literary tie-in schedule has been announced. There are going to be 2 prequel graphic novels, one for Godzilla, I imagine, and one for Kong. 2 children's books and a novelization, obviously. And a special anthology of past stories. I'm not going to buy all those.
You'll probably just buy the graphic novels.
I might get the 2 graphic novels because I read the last graphic novel.
I don't think you need the children's books.
I don't need the children. I don't need it.
Do you need a novel?
I think one of them is going to like. One of them is going to be like something about how Godzilla and Kong like fighting with your friend and then getting along or whatever. And then I think one of them is going to like cover the how Kong and that little girl in the movie met and became friends or something. And then,
Are you going to get the novelization?
I never read novelizations, ever. What's the point?
What about the special anthology of past stories?
Yeah.
Probably not. Depends on how much they want to charge me for it. This is, of course, not including the art book they're going to release.
Oh.
Which I don't buy art books either, so...
Sorry.
Not
a true fan.
Not big enough fan, I guess.
I'm kidding. Only you saw his shelves.
Hey, if it's an art book of like the Showa era stuff or even the Heisei era stuff, I'll be buying that crap up. But of some giant Hollywood
he's
production,
got at least 4 prints of like some of these movies over here.
Listen, You gotta be a fan, bro.
That's okay. I have multiple prints of certain movies too.
Yeah,
so.
Dylan watches, movies that I don't care for, so it's all even.
Excuse you? I watch classics.
Like, I don't know. Dylan
like the Indiana Jones movies.
I don't hate Indiana Jones. Dylan loves John Hughes movies.
Yeah.
I could take him or leave him. Dylan loves How I Met Your Mother. He's got
I
the
do
whole
love
box.
Yes.
It's a great show.
I can't stand that show.
I also love Back to the Future. I own like 3 different sets of that.
It's alright.
And me over here watching the Resident Evil movies.
Andrew loves Resident Evil.
That's worse than anything any one of us has ever watched.
Well, I mean, I'm flattered, but I don't think you really believe that.
Well, no. Okay. It might be better than Wrong Turn.
Wrong Turn.
Which we have talked about on another podcast.
Yeah,
Movies
yeah.
don't create psychos.
Yeah, why don't you tell them about it?
I did. Movies don't create psychos.
What have we got coming up after Wrong Turn?
Well, considering the fact that Aaron did not do his research properly, I guess.
Hey.
He's got a lot on his plate.
Thou shalt not judge.
He's got a lot on his plate. He edits a lot of podcasts.
I do.
Because the reboot thing, Rebecual thing does not officially come out, I guess, to the masses until February, like the 26th or something like that.
23rd.
So sure, whatever. We have moved up the Conjuring film, so we will talk about the first Conjuring this next week.
And the first Annabelle film.
And the first Annabelle film sometime soon. And then we'll probably get to Wrong Turn.
Yeah.
2021.
I've heard it. I've seen it subtitled The Awakening on some things, so I don't know. But anyway, that's not...
like I said, movies don't create psychos. If you want to hear us talk about horror movies.
That's right. As far as this podcast goes, you can contact us at stompthisway1954@gmail.com.
That's true. If you want to follow us on our social medias, we're up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at Stomp This Way on all those platforms, so if you feel like it, make sure you give us a like or follow, and be sure to tell your friends about us.
That's right. We also have a website. Andrew, where can they find that website?
They can find that website at www.stompthisway.podbean.com.
That's right. Dylan, do we have anything interesting over there?
Probably not.
No,
I'm kidding. We got our full schedule of events as well as grades for previous films listed on that schedule. We also have backlogged episodes and then whatever news Aaron wants to keep us updated with. And if you really, 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 really want to know Aaron's opinion, you can see his full ranking of the Godzilla films, 1 through 35.
1 through 35, and I will add 36 when we get to see it. But other than that, I think next week we will be reviewing Gamera, Advent of Legion.
And a bonus episode should probably come out that following Friday, I believe.
Yeah. Of Ultraman Nexus.
Which I was present for.
Got Dylan to sit down and watch a 97-minute Ultraman movie.
You'll hear my thoughts.
And he lived, because you hear him now. So there you
You'll
go.
hear my thoughts.
So check that out. But as always, guys, thank you for listening. I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dylan, and we'll catch you in the next one.